While riding across the prairie toward a town, Ellen encounters a man named Kelly, who is digging multiple holes in search of gold. Kelly fires at her, causing her to fall off her horse. When he approaches to check if she's dead, she knocks him out. She then chains him to his wagon and continues her journey to the town. Upon arriving at the saloon and hotel, she requests a room, but the owner, standing on a stool, assumes she's a prostitute. In response, she kicks the stool, causing him to fall. Ace Hanlon arrives at the bar, boasting about his deck of cards, each ace representing a man he has killed. Meanwhile, Ellen sits outside drinking, while the blind boy shines her boots. The saloon soon becomes lively when Scars, recently released from jail, enters to settle an old score by shooting a man on horseback. He then approaches Ellen, but she dismissively tells him to take a bath. Angered, Scars retaliates by knocking over the blind boy's peddling wagon. Later, in her hotel room as Ellen unpacks, Katie, the owner's daughter, asks about her shooting skills, curious since she's never seen a woman with a gun before. Ellen doesn't respond, and Katie leaves. A large single-elimination gunfighting tournament is about to start. During the registration at the saloon, the owner is tasked with signing up 16 participants. Each contestant will fight once a day, with the winner receiving $123,000. One by one, gunfighters step forward to register, including Scars, Spotted Horse, Sergeant Cantrell, Eugene, Ace Hanlon, Steed the Kid, and Gutson, the Swedish champion. The Kid tries to flirt with Ellen, boasting that he's worth $3,000 across 4 states, but she dismisses him. John Herod and his henchmen arrive, and Herod signs up to applause from the crowd. His men then drag a preacher, Cort, into the saloon, and Herod insists he join the contest. Cort refuses, so Herod has him strung up on a chair. Ellen intervenes, offering to sign herself up. When Herod mocks the idea of a woman being able to shoot, Ellen proves him wrong by shooting the rope, freeing Cort. Herod forcibly signs up Cort, and grudgingly allows Ellen to enter the tournament. The next morning, Ellen wakes up at the Kid's place, but nothing happened between them because the Kid spent the night vomiting and passing out. Ellen expresses her desire to challenge Herod and discovers that the Kid is Herod's son. Cort wakes up chained to a fountain. Ellen asks why he doesn't fight back, and Cort admits he would love to kill them all for what they've done, but refuses because he believes killing is wrong. Later, Ellen enters the saloon and finds Herod. As she is about to challenge him, Kelly interrupts and challenges her instead. She has no choice but to accept, as the tournament rules state that anyone can challenge anyone, and the first challenge must be accepted. Meanwhile, Ace is showing off, bragging, and performing gun tricks. Herod steps in and challenges Ace, suspecting he was hired to kill him. Later that day, the tournament begins. The rules are simple. Whoever is left standing after the draw wins the match. The first duel features the Kid against the Swede. The Kid swiftly shoots the Swede twice, forcing him to drop his gun. The townspeople cheer and lift the Kid in celebration. At the saloon, Spotted Horse boasts that bullets can't kill him, claiming he's been shot numerous times without dying. Meanwhile, Ellen observes Herod standing by the bar. Other victors of the day include Spotted Horse, Sergeant Cantrell, Scars, and Eugene, a notorious scoundrel. One of Herod's men challenges Cort to a duel. Herod orders Cort to be unchained and allows him to visit the Kid's gun shop. There, the Kid shows off his finest firearms, but Herod insists on buying Cort the cheapest gun available, with only 1 bullet. While the Kid assures the gun shoots straight, Cort insists he will not draw or use it. Later, Cort is forced into a duel he wanted no part of. The townspeople all bet against him, but when the clock strikes, only 1 shot is fired. Herod's man falls to the ground. Despite many claiming to be the fastest gun in town, like the Kid, Herod, and Ace, it becomes clear that Cort is the quickest. After the duel, Ellen sits and talks with Cort. Herod reveals that Cort was once an outlaw, just like him. This revelation angers Ellen, and she storms off. Next, it's time for Ace to face Herod. Herod exposes Ace as a liar who had taken credit for Herod's kills. When the clock strikes, Herod shoots off Ace's right thumb, then his left hand. After mocking him further, Herod finishes him with a shot to the chest. The townsfolk, too afraid to do otherwise, applaud Herod as he leaves. Ellen, visibly shaken, walks away while others loot Ace's belongings. That night, Ellen dreams of her father's execution at the hands of Herod and his men. Before her own duel, Ellen gets a helpful tip from Cort as the townspeople cheer her on. Ellen wins her first fight, and the crowd celebrates as she kisses the kid in victory. Later that night, Herod invites Ellen to dinner at his home. During the meal, Ellen secretly prepares a concealed minigun to shoot Herod. However, she hesitates when she hears a clicking sound beneath the table, fearing it's a weapon aimed at her. Panicking, she rushes to leave, only to realize the sound was just Herod's lighter. Later, Ellen talks with Cort, who shares his past with Herod. He reveals that after robbing a bank, both he and Herod were wounded by federal soldiers. A priest nursed them back to health, but once they were strong enough to leave, Herod forced Cort to kill the priest. Herod held a gun to Cort's head and threatened to shoot him if he refused, leaving Cort with no choice. Meanwhile, Herod summons Sergeant Cantrell to his home. Herod confronts the sergeant, revealing that he knows Cantrell, not Ace, was the hired assassin. Despite this, Cantrell says little, and the challenge between them is set. The next day, Herod changes the tournament rules, declaring all fights must now be to the death. Despite ordering the kid to step down, Herod takes on Cantrell. As the clock strikes, Herod shoots Cantrell down and scolds the townsfolk for hiring him. When Cantrell attempts a final attack, Herod finishes him with a headshot. Although Herod advises the kid to quit, saying he's already proven himself, the kid refuses and takes on scars, ultimately defeating him. With the storm approaching, no more fights take place that day. Meanwhile, Eugene, the scumbag, is heard upstairs assaulting a girl. He later comes downstairs, bragging about his actions. Enraged, Ellen attacks him from behind, and their confrontation escalates into a challenge. Despite the pouring rain, they step outside for a duel. In the exchange of fire, Ellen shoots Eugene's manhood. Though the new rules state only one can survive, she hesitates to kill him as he begs for his life and returns to the bar instead. Eugene follows her inside and shoots her drink glass, prompting Ellen to unload her gun into him, killing him. After purchasing a bottle of foul-smelling cologne, the kid approaches Ellen to talk. She is packing up, preparing to leave town even before Cort's next match. The kid confesses his feelings for her, but she brushes him off and leaves. Meanwhile, Cort faces Spotted Horse in his duel, armed with only one bullet. Cort shoots first, dropping Spotted Horse, but the seemingly immortal man rises again and starts firing back. A young blind peddler throws Cort another bullet, and this time Cort finishes the fight with a headshot. Ellen, searching for her father's grave, encounters the town doctor, a friend of her late father. Through flashbacks, she recalls the day Herod had her father, the town marshal, hanged. Later that night, Ellen discovers Cort being beaten by Herod's men. She intervenes, freeing him at gunpoint. That night, Ellen and Cort share an intimate moment and make a pact. The next day, Ellen challenges Herod, but she learns that the kid, Herod's son, has already issued a challenge to his father. Cort advises Ellen to step down, promising to face Herod in the final round. However, Herod overhears them and orders them to fight, threatening that his men will kill them if they refuse. With only 4 contestants left, Ellen tries to convince the kid to stand down, but he refuses, determined to earn his father's respect. During their duel, the kid manages to wound Herod in the neck, but is fatally shot in return. Ellen rushes to the kid's side as he utters his final words, admitting he doesn't want to die. Herod then reveals that the kid was never his son. Next, Cort and Ellen are forced to duel. Cort begs Ellen to shoot him, but she refuses. When neither of them draws, Herod orders his men to kill them both. Desperate, Cort shoots Ellen. The town doctor pronounces her dead and takes her body away before scavengers can steal her belongings. Afterward, Cort confronts Herod, only to have a minigun put to his head. Cort is then taken away and beaten by one of Herod's men. The next day, before the final duel, Herod discovers the truth and orders the man who had beaten Cort to run, then shoots him dead. As the final gunfight approaches, the clock tower suddenly explodes. To Herod's shock, Ellen emerges alive, revealing that red ink had been used to fake her death. Taking advantage of the chaos, Cort begins picking off Herod's men. Confronting Herod, Ellen reveals her true identity and tosses him the marshal's badge. In a flashback, it is shown that Herod once forced Ellen to shoot her own father. Ellen wounds Herod with a fatal shot, while her own injury proves non-lethal. She finishes him off with a headshot. In the final scene, she then tosses the badge to Cort before riding off into the distance. If you enjoyed this video, don't be shy to hit the like button, and if you disliked it, hit the dislike button twice, just to be sure. It would be best if you watched the whole movie. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe for more videos like this.